Morning YouTube. It's colder than a witch's dildo this morning, and this is what I want to talk about. It is winter, and I want to talk about the realities of winter that I find that affect me running a business within the UK at winter time. First off, it's just not fun. So it's white over at the moment, and it's very annoying because it's white over at the moment. So you'd think, yeah, be able to crack on here, but I've got a feeling when I turn over to my first property, actually, I might end up coming away because we're just on general maintenance this morning, and things will be stuck to the ground. And I've been there and done it, and it's very frustrating at this time of the year. And because it's been a hard frost, you get a beautiful day. No rain, nothing, no clouds. It's really, really nice. But we'll have to see. I've done it before where I've turned up in the morning and I've just come back after dinner. But obviously that sort of reduces your, overall how many hours of work you can do in a day. My sort of advice to you is, if you're starting out, bank on winter being crap, because there's so many variables. And we'll go across them as we get into the video, but there's so many variables, there's so many reasons, and also a lot can happen. I find winter is probably the most taxing on the vehicle. So I've noticed my van, it doesn't like starting in the morning. I don't know whether there's a problem because of it or something else is causing it, but you notice it when you first start it up, when it's a very cold morning. There's a bit of a knock when it first kicks in, and then it goes away after about 30 seconds. I'm not a mechanic, so I don't know if that's normal. I've not noticed it before. Also, it's like, if there's a chance of an accident, it's going to be winter. The roads are ice over, and there is zero grit where I live. I know it sounds a bit all doom and gloom, but you've got to sort of factor it in. I'm not trying to encourage you to, hide behind, hide at home. No, get out there, get working. Just don't bank on it being, I always think, and this is the pessimistic person inside of me, and there is a pessimistic person that lives inside me, and I think there's one that lives inside of everybody. But for me, I save for winter as if I won't have work, and then I try and get as much work done as I can over winter. And then I've got that little bit, for one, I'm productive. Two, I've got that little bit of a sort of, not nest egg, but you know what I mean. It allows me to relax over winter, because as much as it is a case that I've got work booked in, well, quite often it ends up getting cancelled, and we'll get on to that now. So one of the things that I have with winter is that you can, with the best of intentions, you can set yourself up with a good amount of winter work. Now obviously this year is different for me, but I've done it before where I've said it with customers. Luke will go on to a monthly visit over winter. Yep, no problem, stuff needs doing, all that, and both sides have said that. I've laid out work, work that could have been done earlier on, I've pushed it to winter. And then this is where the variables come in. So admittedly, if you're on border work and the ground is rock solid, and you have a week of frost and you have a week of snow, then it's Christmas, then it ends up getting pushed into a new year. Just the same as if it's like absolutely pouring down with rain. I think British winters are either frozen cold, like Hoff, or just absolutely wet, just a rainy winter. I don't know which one I prefer, if I'm being honest with you. So the weather can affect you. The biggest one that I find is customers. They might just change their minds. They might just think, well, there's not a great deal that needs doing, we'll put him off for a bit. Or or the common one is, it can last until the season starts. And again, I find that the most frustrating sort of, because it's like, well, no, we did agree, and you can't, there's nothing in writing, you can't force people into it. But I just think, well, I need to earn money over the winter, and that tells you a lot about your customers as well. If they promise something and then they end up not having it, and to be fair, what do you do on that? Well, It's a tough one really, because I've got customers that are good customers all year, and they've had it before where they've stung me over winter, where they've said there's been winter work and it never materialises. But then we're playing catch up at the start of the season, and I always bill catch ups as extra visits. So if a customer, if you gave a customer the option to have a monthly visit over winter and they refused or they cancelled, and then now you've got to sort of scrape up all the dead leaves, or it's on top of the other stuff, I normally just say to them, look, I'll just come and do another visit in between, because otherwise you end up doing your first visit playing catch up, and then you're sort of catching up for the rest of the season, well, for the first few visits at least. And as I said, it's frustrating, but what you're going to do, you can't. I think there is a reason why there's such a stereotype out there that gardeners have the winter off, because of the weather. Now, I do believe that there is some gardeners that have winter off, don't get me wrong. I think there's some people out there that they'll have the winter off, but then I do think to myself, there is I can't see I'd say the vast majority of gardeners work over winter because they need to. And I find myself, the most common question I get asked is, what do you do over winter? And my answer always is, well, I work. So I say to them, I work. I'm out. Really? What do you do? Well, gardening. Can you garden in the winter? And I'm sure other gardeners have had that. It must just be an assumption. It's nothing, I'm sure, what we guys have put out. It must just be an assumption. So you're fighting that already with winter. And I think it's so frustrating. There's nothing worse. I've done it, I've had 3 years now. Well, it's my 4th winter. I've had 3 years of putting work aside and it getting cancelled. So what I do now is, so if a customer has got I would like job or an I want job, then if I was you, this is what I do, I can't speak for you, but what I tend to do is I tend to prioritise getting that done before winter, or at the start of the winter at the least, because I find that I want jobs and I would like jobs, when it comes to January and February, they're doing a New Year job. Now if a customer's got I need job, and it can be put to winter, so I need this hedge reducing, I need this border ripping out, I need this doing, I need that doing, well, you've got a little bit more leverage then, and depending on the customer, they might be more than willing to wait 3 months. If they ask you this August, they might be more than happy to wait at winter time for it to be done, and then that suits you. It's not going to get cancelled, you can schedule it in. But then it depends on the customer, because an I need job, they might want it doing as soon as possible. They might not want to look at the hedge, they might not want to look at that border, they might want to get it all done and dusted beforehand because they're sick of looking at it. So you've got that to think about as well. And then it's the kit as well. I think kit suffers in winter. It's the air's humid and damp. The batteries don't like working. They work in the cold, but beforehand, when it's very cold, I've had to preheat them on there, on a dash. And what I tend to do is I tend to leave them on the dash. Also working, this is what I'm saying, if an accident's going to happen, it's going to happen at winter. Paths are slippy, paths are slimy if it's raining, roads are shit, it's cold. And trust me, I've done this before, where you just work and you just plough through it. You get wet in the morning, it's cold, and you just plough through it, then you get a cold the next day. So you've got to look after yourself, you've got to look after your kit, you've got to look after, I've seen it last year when it was snowing. There was people that were trying to get to jobs. I'm thinking, why? You can't do anything. So for me now, I used to have a job where I had to go in whether it was snowing, raining, fucking nuclear holocaust. Them customers needed that basket of logs to survive. If I didn't get up there, the world would have ended. So you can see the first world problems I had at my job. So that meant I was driving through part of the Peak District to get to these properties in this van just to get to work, and I hated it. Don't get me wrong, I think I am competent at driving in the snow, but there's nothing worse when somebody knows you need a slow and steady pace and a consistent pace when they're driving, and then you've got Mrs. such and such or Mr. such and such that either is on a speed run to deliver a kidney, or they see every hazard and they think, right, slow down, and they come to a crawl, and when you're up and down hills, it's fucking nightmare. So yeah, I used to have to go drive in the snow for my job. Now I don't. How I see it is that there's nothing I can do in the snow, so I just stay at home. So the point of this video is not necessarily to put you off working in the winter or becoming a gardener. I think if you can crack the winters, you're going to crack the summers easy. It is hard, it's very frustrating. Like I said, there's nothing worse than when you look at your diary and you think, right, I've got this, this and this, and then people start cancelling. I've had this been told to me a few times now, and I wonder if you guys have been told this as well. Now, certain customers, now this could be a bad customer or an amazing customer. You got, you know, there's no such thing, like, what are the parameters for an amazing customer? We know what the parameters are for a shit customer, but I've got customers that say to me, I don't go into my garden in the winter, so why would I spend money on my garden in winter? So I knew straight away I've got shit all chance of doing a winter visit. So literally September, October, they're clawing for me to finish. They are. This year's been different because they can see that it's still growing, but the previous years where they can see that it's slowing down, well, they cash in on that. But for the summer, the 6 months of the summer or whatever it is, the season, well, it's pretty much as much work as I can take, you know, and they never let me down. So I can't sod people off just for winter, really. You just have to factor it in. But like I said, there's nothing worse. So my winter this season, I have got a few commercial jobs that need sort of a visit once every 4 weeks. I did have one commercial job, but it's changed hands, and then they're going through a refurb, so we don't need me there until it's finished, you know. As I said, all this what's gone on with this hospital palaver is basically, it's not fucked the winter up, but my winter now is what it is, you know. I've just got to make the most of it. So my advice to you guys, I don't like speaking on other people's behalf, but no matter what your winter brings, save for it. If you think, right, I've got 30 good customers, I reckon 15 of them will have me, well, my experience, save as if you haven't got them 15 customers. Put money aside, because you'd rather have it, you know, if you need it, than if you don't need, you know, if you haven't got it, then you're going to need it, basically. I think I got that right. So, as I said, save for winter now. Well, it's winter now, so if you haven't, well, but you know what I mean. Winters aren't that bad. They could be worse. You've just got to remember, there's a reason why people say gardeners have it off, and also when you break winter down, it's not as long as you think, because my experience is people don't want me there. I normally have about 2 or 3 weeks off, and the reason is people don't normally want me there a week before Christmas and a week after New Year. When you think about it, that's about a month, really. So we've got so November to me is normally a normal month. I know some people will be a bit surprised at that, but November's normally a normal month for me. And then you've got half of December, and then you've got probably half of January, and then actually February is my poorest performing month. So it is what it is, guys. I hope I've not put you off it, but it is what it is. You've just got to knuckle down and get used to it. But look after yourself, look after your kit. You know, as I said, if something's going to happen, it's going to be now. It is. So have a good day, guys. Keep on gardening.